This. Okay, yep. Is I just had dinner, okay? If you hear me burping a little bit, you know why. What the fuck is... Okay. Oh yeah, new chapter just came out. I need to read that. Yeah, this stream is gonna be like a short one. It could take like an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Mostly because we're mostly just doing the tier list and I'm just giving my thoughts on the game and the characters and stuff. Nothing too crazy, you know. So, Zero Escape. Man, that was a wild ride. How long is that series been on this channel? Like 6 months? I thinking 7 months, almost a year. Damn. Like I remember making a Danganronpa video, which I'm looking at my phone right now just to see how far back. I think it was like one where I was talking about a potential sequel. It might have been like a year ago, actually. It could have been like a year ago. A little bit. Trying to figure out where. Shoot, I cannot remember the life of me. Because I have like so many smaller videos and stuff. Oh yeah, there it is. The Danganronpa, new Danganronpa game. My thoughts and, Kodaka interview. That sort of thing. Where I had like a next Danganronpa 4, like in the thumbnail and stuff. Like, I went from like, I never played the Zero Escape series myself, to Zero Escape kind of being my favorite death game, video game genre. Like, I honestly think Zero Escape is heavily underrated, for one, and for two, is probably better than Danganronpa, just, like, in my opinion, just better than Danganronpa. With, like, I'll admit, Danganronpa definitely does have slightly, I don't want to say more memorable necessarily, but I would say characters that stick with me more. But these characters are very good, very great, in fact, in my opinion. Um, I just wish that a few of them got more screen time. Like, for example, Snake from the first game. I mean, we thought he was dead in the first game for a while, until it turns out no, he's not dead, and we don't get to see him for like a while. And it feels a little weird how the one blind character just disappears, And how Clover reappears in the second game. Like personally, how I would have done it was to have Clover maybe disappear instead of Snake, and then we could have seen a bit more, got more of his character, in my opinion. Mostly because I just feel like, he's very underrated, and it's kind of sad to have, like, one of the few disabled characters in the series, like, canonically disabled, like, not, like, headcanon this character is disabled, but, like, canonically blind character in the series, in, like, a Death Game series, because I cannot think of, like, many characters who are actually canonically disabled, necessarily, that, actually managed to not only be a part of the Death Game, but also survive. I just wish that this kind of character got more screen time, in all honesty. And then in the second game, I'd say the character who definitely deserves more screen time is, like, Quark, right here, Quark. It's mostly because, like, this is the first instance, like, this game came out before, I believe it came out before, yeah, it did come out before Your Turn to Die, so this is, like, I won't say it's my first introduction, but it's definitely probably, like, one of the first times where you have, like, a younger character kind of, like, in a death game scenario like this, And then they're just kind of out of it because they caught a disease, and we don't even get much screen time with him because we only ever do one escape room with him that I can remember off the top of my head. which is like at the very end of like before we get Tenmyoji's ending. And honestly, I just wish we got more of him. In all honesty. And then in the game after that, I feel like everyone got a good amount of screen time. And yeah, there's no complaints with the last game. The last game definitely knew how to work their tasks, like balance their task screen time better. So, out of the three of them, like overall, out of the three, before we start, out of the three games, which one's my favorite? I actually really enjoyed the second one, even though it's like very long and it has a lot of different, like a lot of different routes you can take. I really liked that. I really like how they, really, went through every single possibility. And there's even like a secret ending that I forgot to stream where we get to talk to Akane and all that. And I'm not sure if it's canon or not. It's probably not canon. But like basically we're a character who basically ends up in Kei's body, and then we get to like talk to Akane, and it's like, you are important, to stopping the Radical Six from getting out. And it could be just, it's meant to be interpreted as the player themselves. It's up to the player to like, end the series, and like it's up to the player to prevent this tragedy from happening, which is slightly meta, and I really like that little, secret ending bit. I also did a little bit of research digging around and realized the puzzle in like, actually wait, that's a bit off topic. I'm sorry. Even though, let's go back real quick to the second game. Even though I feel like Quark was done dirty and, could have gotten more screen time in my opinion, or like could have, been more escape rooms with me, I felt like they did the best they could, all things considering. What else? What else can I say about it? Has best girl. Best girl. If that's anything. Has, in my opinion, minor spoilers for this tier list and how I'm gonna put it, but has best Junpei character, like best evolution of Junpei. Kei was certainly an interesting character as well, in my opinion. I feel like there are some flaws, like, I feel like they did Clover a little dirty, because she feels like she was dumbed down a little bit in this game. But it also could be because, like, she's dumbed down in this game, because this game isn't exactly the same as the Nonary game she played in the first game, which, technically speaking, that's not even her first Nonary game. She was in the other one. So she clearly knew all, if not, most of the answers, and probably forgot a few of them, of like how to solve the puzzles and stuff. And since her brother died, she was acting a lot more emotional. So any illogical things there was because of that. Phi in that game, looking in that game, like isolating this Phi from the one in Virtue's Last Award, Phi was a very, very interesting character as well. Like, it basically kind of made me suspicious of her immediately because she has both, like, some spunk and some of the little bits of personality from Santa, as well as being, like, the female character I don't want to say meet first, but, like, I guess we do meet her, but, like, recognize her first. Because I believe we had, like, in the very beginning of the game, we had, like, a flashback, or I guess a flash forward to another history, where I assume we would have gotten that cutscene if we failed to defuse the bomb. But, like, she's, like, the first female character we recognize, which is similar to, like, how Junpei recognizes Akane, and, like, she had some aspects of both Santa and Akane from, like, the first game that made her immediately suspicious to me. But I really like how they actually have more than one shifter who can shift in this game, who's aware of other timelines, but is not aware of how it works yet. That's actually a very cool thing that they included. Man, what else? Dio was actually a pretty interesting character who I wish, because I did do some research, a little bit of research, into like this game, and apparently in, not Virtue's Last Award, Zero Time Dilemma, they were playing with concepts like, Dio getting a bit more screen time. Like, we would have gotten to know the original Left in this game, or at the very least gotten to see another version of Left, of like Left's clones, which, I mean, sure, they're all clones of each other, but there has to be some differences somewhere, right? But also, Snake would have made a return, possibly as well, until that concept was scrapped. Which makes me sad, because it would have been very interesting to see Snake, in Zero Time Dilemma. It would have been very interesting to see him, but I guess they couldn't exactly make space for him with the cast they had, because I feel like they wanted to do something where it's like, oh, one team from the first game, one team from the second game, and then newcomers. That sort of thing, what else did I like about this, did I like or dislike about this game? Maybe I should go into Dio a little bit more, real quick. Like, the best I can just, no. We're gonna save that for the actual tier list instead of wasting time there. Here, I guess Alice, she was a cool character. Definitely somewhat interesting. Like, it was, she put on this, like, tough sort of exterior, and, even with her, like, when we learned in her backstory that her, like, father died and stuff, but she was trying to keep herself together for Clover's sake, and how she always, kept making, like, wearing a brave face, even in the dire situations, to make sure, no one can either exploit her weaknesses, or, her allies can't see her weaknesses, so that they can, continue looking up to her, like, Clover looked up to Alice. And then, how she, like, broke down and actually feels bad about, betraying Sigma and all that sort of stuff. And I feel like it was really good direction for her character, and kind of, in a way, even though I'm a bit biased towards Lotus because she's a computer scientist like me, kind of makes Alice, like, the best kind of, like, even though they're scantily clad, they're very smart. They're a smart, sharp, intelligent woman. That sort of thing. Kind of makes her my favorite out of, like, all three. And then there is, like, Sigma. Honestly, out of the technically 5 protagonists we have, Sigma in Virtue's Last Reward is probably the worst one. I mean, the ending twist with him being the past version of Sigma, and we were actually in the body of Zero, and in hindsight, in Tenmyoji's ending, it makes sense why he would betray us and all that. I don't know. I know he was like a fucking, like, I know he was like in college and all that, but I feel like he was way too immature and pervy, especially since he's like, I don't know exactly. I don't know if I'm remembering this exactly correctly. But apparently he was working on, I remember he was working on a PhD, but I'm not sure if he, like, which takes 8 years to have. Meaning if we look at it and we, consider him like a senior, like this is his final year, and let's say he started college at like 18. Alright? If we do the math, he's 26 years old and yet he's still acting like this, so it makes him come across as super immature, which also kind of throws me off with how some of the characters kind of look up to, I don't want to say look up to him, but some characters end up like trusting him or looking up to him or like find him super reliable, like Clover with Quark's ending, sort of. Maybe it's just weird characterization in my opinion. It kind of makes him like my least favorite protagonist. Okay, now let's go to my second favorite game, 999, the OG series. Yeah. what else can I say? Cool bunch of characters. Cool, interesting bunch of characters, but I mean, the ninth man, let's just disregard him from the cast, alright? Let's just focus on these 8. God, it really kept me on my toes, cause here, I was like suspicious of Akane being Zero, cause I knew that when the game came out, and I knew that there was gonna be like this big twist, like, oh, the person we trusted most was Zero. But I wasn't expecting her to actually technically be, I wouldn't say, like a bad guy. I was expecting her to go like batshit insane or something. But turns out she's actually kind of, decent, like, I won't say she's good necessarily, but she's definitely she kidnapped people and put them in a death game. And in most timelines, nearly everyone did die, so, it's like, she's more morally gray, in my opinion, which is actually a pretty cool antagonist, mastermind kind of character to have. Versus the more morally black character, of Ace, who's been manipulating us since the beginning, and I actually fell for it. He actually got me. I didn't expect the twist to turn out he was actually evil the whole time, but fucking he got me. Motherfucker got me, I'm not gonna lie. Even though I shat on Santa nearly the whole fucking time, I shat on him arguably probably the most out of like this entire cast. He's probably one of my favorite characters from the first game. I actually liked his attitude. He was a pretty cool character. His design was actually pretty nice. I miss my Jack Frost, dude. Fucking hell. I already kind of described Clover and Snake's characters to you guys. Junpei is probably my favorite protagonist out of this whole series. OG protagonist, Marty McFly, motherfucker. In all seriousness though, he was probably like the most down to earth, and I won't say like super mature, but mature enough to the point to where it's like, yeah, he's not Sigma. Which is weird because he's like a senior in college, and I'm assuming he's like getting a bachelor's. So it would make him like, of course I'm thinking like in terms of an American, so I'm not exactly sure how it is like with Japanese college systems, but I'm assuming that he is like 24 maybe? Yeah, 24. Seven, being the amnesiac character of this game, was actually a pretty cool dude, like very interesting. He's not, I won't say he's smart in the traditional sense, but he's definitely street smart. I definitely did see him as like a sort of police, I won't say police character, but like, almost like loose cannon, like tough exterior character who actually does care for people, very empathetic. Similar thing could be said about Lotus, someone who acts tough on the outside, but genuinely does care about everyone else and their, safety, and is very empathetic. But it's just thinking in terms, like, logically and all that, because she has, like, kids that she raises on her own, she's a single mother, and she wants to go back to them, Makes sense. And technically my least favorite game out of all of these is probably, like, I really don't want to say it, but it is sort of a black sheep, because the first two are definitely visual novel games, but this one's more like along the lines of Telltale. And it sucks, because I actually really do like the concept that they, came up with. Even though it was kind of obvious there was going to be a 10th character because of how the game was, with like, nonary game, suddenly decision game with X passes. They weren't exactly subtle with it. I mean, I forgot for a minute that, Deci actually means 10. Deci, decision game, decimal. But aside from that, X passes were pretty, like, on the nose, dude. But technically speaking, it's exactly what it says on the tin. There's only 10 characters. Another point of what made me suspect that there was like 10 characters in this game was because there's almost never just gonna be 9 characters in a notary game. I mean, other than ignoring the ninth man, there were 2 more characters, which is the Cap and Guy X. In this game, technically speaking, even though Akane and Kyle are technically K, I still consider both of them 2 separate entities. So, yeah. Other than that, this one's the only one that actually has like 10 characters, discounting Gab because he's a dog. Like 10 fleshed out characters, It was a little weird. I don't know how to feel about, I forgot to talk about Ten Myoji in the first game. Well, I did in the second game, whatevs. I mean, I did, like, scrape the top. I'll go deeper then later. Sorry, I just had dinner. Let's see. I found Carlos, like, let's start with, like, Team C. I found the dynamic between Junpei kind of being a lot more jaded, especially since he dropped out of college and started, joining a detective agency almost, like definitely an underground detective agency, like, uh, real dark place for him. But despite all that, you could still see some aspects of the old Junpei within him. Like, I really like that direction of his character. I really wish they kept his leather jacket that he had. But, when I did some research on that, turns out that modelers didn't have enough time before the game came out to model his leather jacket properly, so they just gave him the shirt. Honestly, I think I already talked about his design. I wish they added a bit more blue to his design, like, so that we can actually connect him to both Tenmyoji and Junpei in the other games. I don't see why they changed it to, like, reddish, to, like, this red they had. I just wish they gave him, like, blue, like navy blue or dark blue, to show that he's in a darker place. Personally, that's what I would have done if I had the chance to design him. Akane is definitely somewhere, I could definitely see her being somewhere between the first game Akane and the Akane we know from Virtue's Last Award, I do find her somewhat hypocritical a little bit with that one scene where she slapped Junpei for, like, just sacrificing himself and, dragging Carlos into it and, and leaving Akane alone in that timeline. Luckily, she was able to shift to the other one. But, what was I gonna say about her? I get, like, she's probably, like, the type of character who's more like, I'm willing to sacrifice myself, but I don't want other people to sacrifice themselves for me. If that makes any sense. I feel like she's more like that, so it kind of does make me feel like it's intentional like that, Like, if you've ever seen or watched, like, Jujutsu Kaisen, the main character, I just finished watching it, like, a week ago. The main character definitely has that sort of aspect about him, like, I'm gonna be your friend, I'm gonna be saving your life, and I'm gonna be throwing my life away for you, but you better not do the same for me, kind of thing. I found Carlos interesting because he definitely has some aspects of both Santa and Snake within him, which makes me think that Carlos was originally supposed to be Snake in this game. But other than that, found his, like, heroism where it combines some aspects of, the other two characters I mentioned and the original Junpei into him as well. And he's definitely much more extroverted, very action-oriented. And, even despite all that, with the trailer, like, looking at the trailer and giving off first impressions, he definitely did give me some reminiscent, like, he reminded me a bit of both Ace and Dio in that, a little bit, in little ways. It's hard to put my finger on it, but when I did some research, I discovered that, Zero Escape actually, when writing their characters, they actually based it off something called an Enneagram, which actually has 9, like, to oversimplify, it has 9 personality types, and it turns out Ace, Dio, and Carlos have the same type. So I wouldn't be surprised if Carlos was meant to be like a red herring, like, oh, he was gonna be like a good guy who falls into villainy and would have caused the frickin', tragedy that, would lead into Virtue's Last Award, or Carlos is actually left, like that sort of thing. It's supposed to, like, give you that sort of vibe, So next, let's talk about Q-Team. Q-Team, Q, or I guess Sean. What should I say? They definitely did. Sean was definitely interesting in the fact that he was like a kid character that we got to play as. I really like. Fuck, I'm dismantling the characters when I'm supposed to be talking about the games. I'm gonna run out of what to talk about with these characters when I start the fucking tier list. Jesus Christ. Q-Team, definitely the fucking, I won't say the worst team, but definitely my least favorite. And fuck it, let's just actually call them the worst team, because technically speaking, considering Delta is actually takes the alias of Q and how he's actually Q, looking at these three fucking suck, like, morally. They fucking blow, dude. Personally, I mean, Mira's a serial killer who rips people's hearts out and is borderline psychopathic, but psychopaths don't exactly, I tried to do research on it, but it says psychopaths shouldn't feel fear, but I'm not sure if she's psychopathic or sociopathic or something like that. Eric, do we even need to describe Eric? Eric just needs therapy, man. Even though there are some sympathetic things about his character, he just does quite a few heinous things, especially, to a child, that it just kind of, ugh. I feel like he definitely just needs therapy, honestly. Wish that secret ending had that. Delta. My motives are complex, character. I have a bit of a headcanon about him, but I'll describe it later. Sean, actually kind of interesting, once again. The fact that he's like, this sort of kid character that no one trusts because of like this helmet on his head. And it turns out, oh, he's a robot, but he could feel like all these emotions and stuff. Kind of gave me some Luna vibes, Definitely gave me a little bit of Luna vibes. Sean was definitely like a smart character, not considering the fact that he was a robot, but considering the fact that he was like based off of a real child. So this was technically what human Sean would have been. Whatever human Sean was capable of, I'm assuming this Sean, robotic Sean, would be capable of it as well. I also found it kinda cool, like a kinda cool small detail, that every ending where Sean is actually like, it's like Sean's ending sort of thing, is actually yellow instead of green. And like all the green endings, all the Q endings are actually like, based off of this character, based off the Delta, D-Team. Diana was a cool character, definitely hit similar beats to Luna, but is definitely more human in the fact that she's flawed. I wouldn't say like, Luna is somewhat flawed, but she's like morally, like a moral pillar. She's like, hard to break. She's impossible to break because of like the nature of her existence. But Diana, since she's human, she actually can break down. We see that. I like that aspect of her. Really like the direction it went with her. Fi. She's more or less the same from Virtue's Last Reward, except she has like definitely a stronger relationship with Sigma now. Like, like a stronger friendship and, I guess technically father-daughter, or like, they're definitely closer in this game, definitely friendlier. Sigma! Definitely better in this game. I guess 45 years being stuck on the moon on your own for most of it does a lot to a person, but he's definitely a lot more mature, definitely a guy I can rely more on, And then there's Gap. It's Doggo. I mean, it's ultimately inoffensive. In fact, we're gonna fucking add a tier list here. Let me fucking add one real quick. It's Gap, right? Yeah. Gap. It's Gab. Why am I saying Gap? Oops. What the fuck? Hey. Gap. First of all, Gap. And second of all, Red. Oh, I was editing this one. Oops. I want to make... S. Okay, there we go. Gap, just gonna put him up there. Ultimately inoffensive. Nothing wrong with him. And yeah, that's basically my thoughts on like all the three games. And now let's get to the tier list. Ace. Number 1. I'd say definitely a A-tier character. I'm breaking down characters from their design, from their personality, their motives. I tried to do a bit more research on them. I want to say I replayed the game, but I rewatched the games. got some of the other, other people's opinions on the characters, tried to figure out how to word them. Once again, he's definitely very manipulative. Definitely a very manipulative character, very trickster. He actually got me. I'm not gonna lie, he got me. Ain't gonna lie, dude. Had me in the first half, not gonna lie. Like, I know I'm retreading some old ground. His motivation for being evil was kinda weak, in my opinion. Like, he just wanted to see human faces, prosopagnosia, but, like, I feel like it's definitely villainizing someone who's definitely, who's technically speaking disabled. And it's like, I mean, I do follow, like, I won't say I know personally, but I definitely do have met people with someone with prosopagnosia, and I've actually watched a prosopagnosia YouTuber known as Katsun, and I've actually seen their streams and stuff, and it's like, I don't know how to feel about him. I just feel like his motivation's too weak. Weak as a, villain. But I'd still say he's A tier based off his design and how he actually did. He was actually very good, like, overall, minus the motivation. Overall, pretty well written. Pretty well written character. Next is Snake. I'd also say A tier. Wish he got more screen time. As I've said before, I wish he did appear in Virtue's Last Award or, like, in another game, honestly. Looking at what he did, he's definitely competent. Definitely good representation for, like, blind people. Definitely, like, I mean, I'm sure if I, were to, like, ask a blind person in the fan base, they'd say that I'm sure they'd have, like, a similar opinion to mine where, like, maybe they would wish that he had more screen time. But, Snake's definitely a very good character. Like, his blindness does not define him as a character necessarily. It's just, a natural part of his character. And, like, I definitely do find I do find him, like, a cool character outside of that. And, he's definitely, like, a good older brother character. He's definitely competent. He's somewhat sassy. Fun character. Man, Aoi / Santa. Where should I put you? You're definitely not S tier. Huh. Once again, I've already stated that there's a bunch of A tier characters, honestly. Definitely a cool kind of character. Definitely is surprisingly, despite everything, seems a bit more optimistic. Sometimes, like, his act of him not, caring or not pretending not to know everyone else, some other people. When he learns that Clover's dead, I noticed that he got super emotional over it, like, you bastard, like, that sort of thing. And I like that little nod to him, like, in that ending, in the, what was it called, the safe ending? Where, he stays behind with his sister, Akane. I just wish he got more screen time, once again. Like, I wish we got to see him in a future game, like, we don't know what the fuck happens to him in Virtue's Last Award. You know what? Fuck it. I'm moving him down one. Just cause, like, they definitely wasted some wasted potential there. Because he just fucking disappears after the first game. Virtue's Last Award, I mean not Virtue's Last Award, Zero Time Dilemma, I get it, but with Virtue's Last Award, I can't find anything on what happened to him. Like, did he die from the Radical Six? Is he still alive? Where the fuck is he? Like, I feel like he'd still follow his sister to the ends of the earth and is willing to die for her. So it's like, where the fuck did he go? In fact, I suspected that, Kay might have been like, Snake? At first, but then I thought maybe it's a little too obvious. Like, in the back of my mind, I'm not sure if I ever said this out loud or not, but I definitely thought that maybe for a moment that if Kay's an old character we knew, Kay could quite possibly be like, either Ace, I know I said Ace out loud, or quite possibly even like Santa. But he's not. He just sort of disappears after the first game. And he gets like a mention in like one scene in Zero Time Dilemma. Once again, some wasted potential there. Wish we got to see more. Sorry. Clover, A tier. definitely very competent character in the first game. What else? Great design overall. I never said that about Santa. I think I said that about Santa. She got drip. That's all I gotta say. um, what else can I say about this character? She's definitely, I won't say she's good, like, as great at math as, like, Alice, per se, but she's definitely very close to being good at math, like, being able to do quick math with the digital roots and stuff. What else can I say about her? I really liked, the axe ending with her. And I did do some research, but there was also, like, another ending on, like, the mobile version where she, stabs Junpei with, like, a needle with, I forgot what it's called. It's like the thing that knocks you out that, Cradle Pharmaceuticals produced. I forgot what the fuck that was called. But I definitely remember Cradle Pharmaceuticals. And basically she pushes us in like the water and then we drown after getting knocked out, you know. It's a very interesting ending, but ultimately it doesn't really add too much to her character. Definitely could be manipulative somewhat after her brother died, and like, she definitely has some chooser cuteness and charisma to like get Junpei to put his guard down even more, which ends up getting him killed in the axe ending. But like ultimately, very great character. Junpei, OG, A tier. I already told you my reasons. I'd say the only thing that kept him from S tier was that there is something about, him and how he and Akane act towards each other. Sort of like, like, that one scene with the fucking, the elevator scene. Let's just, let's just dissect that real quick. It just seems like their relationship is like, more child-ish. Like it's more like, like two children having a crush on each other rather than two grown adults. Like I know adults can still be shy and bashful, but like I feel like with the two of them, it's like way too shy and bashful, OG Akane, S tier. You already know why. I already described to you why. Okay, definitely comes across like, more, it makes us think she's actually a damsel in distress when it turns out, oh, she's actually the mastermind of the whole thing. Definitely more smart and competent outside of her ditzy, more clumsy exterior. But she's still, but despite everything, despite being essentially Jigsaw or John Kramer, the equivalent of that for this game, she's actually genuinely actually empathetic and more caring. And really, she only did the death game to not only save herself, but also to stop this man from, getting off free. 7, A tier character. I already said what I had to say about this character. Same thing with Lotus. A tier. Once again, I already said what I had to say with Lotus. There's not much I can really add. The Ninth Man. Not really enough screen time for me to give a proper opinion on him. I did like his design. Actually, hold on, let me just fucking bump. I'll just leave Lotus where she is. It's just, I don't know how to feel about the design, because it definitely does come across as like more of a dancer sort of thing. Like, let me fucking pull up Lotus real quick, 999, real quick. Like, I mean, the design's alright. I'm not sure if she's supposed to have an almost, for lack of better terms, and the fact that I don't know the term, but I know if I use the frickin' other term, people will know what I'm talking about. I don't know if she actually, fucking gypsy, kinda comes across as like this Romani. Is it Romani? Yeah, it's like South Asia. Like, I'm not sure if she has like an almost Romani, like being part of the Romani ethnic group, or like, originating or had like family. Sort of like this is what her design gives me like the vibes of, I don't know if she actually is like of that group, but I saw this alternate design we could have gotten, as you can see here. That, I mean, she definitely does seem a lot more computer sciencey. You know, like, definitely more of a cybersecurity kind of woman, rather than the design we did get. But it could be because, I don't know why they were designed for like that. I mean, necessarily, I can't think of an excuse. What? And after I boost that pair, okay, well, I can fucking look what the fuck that means. I did minor research, okay? I just wish we got a bit more of this, you know? This design instead, or like, keep the hair of our old design, got something similar to this, you know? Like, this isn't bad, but this definitely makes it seem more like, you know, like a computer science kind of person, someone who works in, like, computer science. I guess they did this because it is stated that she does work in freelance, which I guess is fine, but it could have been better, you know? What the fuck does this even mean? Oh. Whatever. Other than that, wait, let me see. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. You get the idea of what I'm trying to talk about. Like, don't get me wrong. Okay, now let's go back to the Ninth Man. I'm sorry. Believe it or not, the Ninth Man actually has the same personality type as Sigma as well, which I will describe to you later when I talk about the game concept I have, a possible sequel concept. Sorry. Let's see. Like, the Ninth Man's design isn't that bad. Like, if I pull up the Ninth Man's design, pretty cool design. It's just that we don't get a lot of his character, and what we do get of his character is, like, you know, him immediately trying to manipulate someone in order to save himself. Like, there's not much there, alright? And then he's just never I won't say never mentioned again in that game, but he definitely is, like, never mentioned in any future games. Which sucks! You know? Definitely wish, Teruaki and Kubota, like, you know, Teruaki Kubota had a bit more development, or, like, you know, had a way where we can learn more about him personally as a character, rather than, you know, like, it being as it is, you know. But outside of that, there's not much I can add. OG Sigma from Virtue's Last Award. I already explained to you why. Okay, I'm not gonna fucking retrace steps to try and describe to you why I do not like this character as much as, like, other protagonists. I already described to you Fi's character. Definitely an S-tier character. Really liked her design. Really liked her Latin origins. Definitely smart and competent. But does show some signs of empathy, and really only betrayed us when we betrayed her in another timeline, which I found very interesting. But it's like the chicken before the egg. Like, who betrayed who first? Like, it's played that Sigma betrayed her first, but in reality, it's like, you know, with how I played it, she betrayed me first from an alternate timeline, and I didn't know until I had to go through. You get the idea. Really liked her character. Sassy, sarcastic, fun. Just definitely fun character to be around, and I'm so glad that I actually did get quite a bit of screen time with her. Alice. Fuck, I gotta knock her down one for design. Like, let's just talk about Alice real quick. Once again, I already described to you her character and my thoughts on it. I hated her at first, but then I grew to love her. It's just that her design, man. Like, I am very much risking this video getting taken down. It's just, you know, no bra. Like, she fucking ones up Lotus by just not wearing a bra at all. Which, considering the fact that this is the one probably like the one and only dark-skinned character in this game. In fact, not only in this game, but probably like next to Seven, probably this entire series. The fact that she's kind of treated like this kind of yikes. She's still, especially since she just doesn't have a bra, like, fucking, I'm not trying to shame anyone here, but it's just, really, like, we know the reason why the designers designed her like this. Let's not pretend like we don't, alright? I'm not the bad guy here. Fuck, what else? Like, and the fact that she, like, partway through, like, after the second Nonary game, after the second AB game, or like around the second AB game, actually, she just, gets quarked. She gets quarked, She gets treated like how Quark did. It just sucks, I definitely did. Wait, what the fuck does this say? You know what? Let's just look at this video real quick. I'm trying to see if I could find that one, like this design right here, which I really like. I mean, I really do like something similar to this. Maybe they could have given her something like this, like instead of just giving her jewelry that basically covers nothing of her chest, and we should definitely be seeing something there, But other than that, outside of that, really great character, very competent, very smart, and I really liked how they, made her cold, like, they kind of made her seem like cold, and, definitely more distant, and definitely more, I don't want to say emotionless, but definitely more logical, like in the first half of her character, but when we get to her ending, we definitely get to see the more empathetic side, the more human part of her character, I already told you what I needed to say about Clover, alright? Like, I don't like what they did with her design there. Like, I know she's, like, looking up to Alice, but it's just, I don't know how to describe it. I just don't like it. Like, let me just freaking pull up her design here so we can get a better look at it. It's just that, but looking between her OG one and her new one, I have to say, the only thing I really like about the new one that improves on the old one is this little, like, Clover belt. I find that kind of cute. I like that little bit of her character design. Other than that, though, they get rid of her headphones, but they just give her this weird hair that, when translated into her 3D model, just doesn't work all that well, and it looks kind of ugly. I don't know what to think about that. Like, she looks like she's a Flintstone character, in all honesty. She's still wearing heels, which I don't know why you'd still wear heels, especially since you're, like, supposed to be a spy or whatever. What else? Honestly, that's all I really have to say about the design. There's not much else I could say. I also did some background research where it's like, apparently there was like, this sort of fans of this game that would have gotten you extra information. I know, I'm not sure if it's like, true or not, but, I don't know. I mean, let's just look at a possible, like, redesign, Like, redesign for a character, which, I really like this one with the coat. And it keeps the belt, like, right here. I like this one. It definitely does seem more reminiscent of her old one, in my opinion. And the hair, even though I do have slight problems with it, it's not as ridiculous. Like, they made this smaller, and it's not as ridiculous as the bigger one, I also really like what they did over here with this one, like, what this person did over here. And I'm sure there was one more that I had, like, saved on my laptop. Not my laptop, my iPad. But I just don't know how I could find it. Or where it is. Like, I know it's somewhere, but I just don't know where. you know. I'll probably post that on the, like, Wattpad or, like, the link to that or whatever. I don't know. Once again, I wish we got some aspect of the old Clover. I wish there was, like, an ending with Clover where she ends up, like, you know, like how the first game Clover's acted, you know? Maybe there could have been one. But then since I found that, journal with the Radical Six in it, that's the reason why it never happened. Overall, though, definitely a downgrade. Definitely a downgrade from old Clover. And also, her hair seems brighter here than in her OG one. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not. Maybe it's supposed to signify how she's a bit more upbeat, I guess. I don't know. Okay, next. K. If we're looking at both terms of, like, Akane and Kyle, I definitely do like the direction they went with his character. Like, technically it's like, he's like the box for Schrodinger's cat, you know? Like, sometimes he's Kyle in two timelines, but in another one he's like Akane, actually. And I really like, you know, how, like, looking at it as K, as both Akane and Kyle, you definitely do see small little differences, and I like that I like those little differences that they made with this character. Like, let's just look at a bigger one, where it's like, when we confront, Dio in the rec room, right? I believe that's what it's called, in the rec room, and we actually are trying to figure out if he actually is the one who killed the old lady, or Kane. Kyle is definitely more, like, you know, jumps to it, you know, that version of K with Kyle, jumps more to it, he's definitely more confident in that he could take him down, but, like, you know, when we go into, like, the other timeline with Alice, and, you know, one where we did save Akane and Akane's in the suit instead, we see the hesitation, almost as if, you know, it's an old lady in here and not, you know, a stronger man, or like a strong young man, you know? This Junpei. Even though his design is slightly more plain than the OG one, I feel like it fits this Junpei, all things considering, since he lives in the post-apocalyptic world, essentially. I won't say post-apocalyptic, but like, in a society that's trying to rebuild itself, you know? Definitely, you could still see some, even though he's more jaded, in the fact that, you know, he seems like, well, I already described him as more jaded. We could still see, like, old bits of Junpei in there. And it's probably because, like, of his connection to Quark, once again, and, like, how he's, like, you know, I want to say he moved all his love from Akane to, like, you know, Quark, because it's, like, a different kind of love, that sort of thing. But he found something else to live for, something else to care about, and I really like that aspect of his character. And I already told you about Tenmi, like, about his ending. But there was also a little bit about Quark's ending, where he's, like, you know, more thankful and all that. And he definitely is, like, you know, he's definitely one-track minded. Like, I want to protect this kid who I've raised and all that. Like, even though he's not that good at it, he does his best. He does his absolute best. And I can respect that. In all honesty. Dio. Yeah, I've already described described him to you. I definitely do wish he did end up returning for Zero Time Dilemma, and or, you know, at the very least, we got to know a little bit more about the original Left. Because who's to say that this Left is exactly the same as the previous Left? Like, maybe the previous Left was nicer, more grounded, like, you know, I don't want to say more grounded, but like more empathetic than this Left. And this Left definitely does give me some vibes where he just wants to, like, have his older brother's love, or like his brother's love, and wants to be treated like a real person instead of just a clone, you know? I mean, that's my headcanon, at least. Quark. The head weird throws me off. She's not necessarily a bad character, I just wish he had more screen time, and he got less screen time, in my opinion, than Snake, and, you know, he's just out of it for most of it. Not much I can really add. Luna, I already described you to her. But, let's just talk about her real quick. Talk about her a little bit. Like, every time she votes, or like, we're with her, and she always says, vote ally, that sort of thing. She's definitely kinder, definitely more empathetic, definitely, like, I don't want to say more human, but she's definitely, like, it is suspicious. Like, if she were a human character, it'd definitely be weird. She'd definitely be more poorly written, because it's like, it's completely unrealistic for someone to not falter at all. Like, to not falter at all. Like, she definitely does have some emotions when she cries, when you pick the tray, or like when anyone else picks the tray. But she's like, sorry, I had to cough real quick. But it's like, she just trusts without, like, any doubt at all. Which is definitely not exactly human. But it does pose an interesting question. The most human, or the most empathetic character is actually a robot. And I really like that aspect, especially in her ending. And I actually fucking nearly cried at her ending, dude. Man, they almost got me. Like, if I got to know her a little bit longer, fuck, I definitely would have been bawling. I was definitely mad and angry when she died, too. Like, they definitely got me to care about this character who wasn't even human. Ironically enough, by making her a not human character, they made her more human to me. That sort of thing. They made her more realistic, more, like, it hits you harder when she ends up dying. Carlos, there's not much I can really say about Carlos that I haven't said yet. I guess we can talk about his design, which I have to cause like, once again, we got a different artist here, alright? So I gotta look at these designs a little bit more differently. Like, most of these designs are definitely more subtle, if that makes any sense. I'm gonna put him at, honestly, it's not my favorite protagonist. I'll definitely put him on the same A tier as, like, everyone else. Like, his design, to me, is kinda cool, more grounded, relatively grounded, and, like, I like the fireman aspect of his character. They definitely seem like, I did see some OG designs where he had, like, an anchor on his, like, pocket thing on his shirt pocket, instead of an axe. So it made me think that maybe he was supposed to be like a sailor or a Navy SEAL or like a part of the Navy or part of the Army or something. But, they ended up going with the fireman thing. Not much I could really add. This Junpei, I have to knock him down one just based off of design, in all honesty. Same thing with this version of no, not same thing. Like, same thing with this version of Akane. I don't know how to feel about that one little bit of her character, and they make her seem a bit more, like, she definitely seems a little bit different from the first game, where she's more bashful with, talking about her feelings with Junpei, even though she's the one who suggests, like, a bunch of things, like, maybe we should shower together, or I had 16 boyfriends times 0, that sort of thing, 16 or 18, I don't know. I don't remember exactly the quote, but something like that. She definitely seems a little bit more bashful with her, relationship to Junpei, which I have to knock her down one for that because it definitely seems a little different. I'm not sure if, like, a year, or like if she was faking it, or if, like, a year's passed and now she's a bit more bashful about it. I don't know. Q, not my favorite protagonist once again. Definitely seems like a slightly weaker version of, like, Luna to me. Honestly, definitely like the competent kid character, but then it's like, even though he's modeled after a kid, he's still technically not human, so kind of knocks him down one for me. Mira, serial killer, I already told you all about it. Found her philosophy with, like, hearts, sort of, I don't want to say super interesting, but, like, I could see why she was a serial killer, if that makes any sense. I don't see why she would work with Zero, necessarily. You know what, actually, I'm gonna knock her down one for that. I don't know why she works with Zero. I just realized she's Zero's accomplice in this game, and I don't know why she works for him. Like, at all. As for her design, it's definitely more grounded when, compared to the other two characters that are like her. But, it feels slightly more intentional, Like, cause once again, she's like, she's like a serial killer. She's like a siren. Have you ever heard like a siren? Like, those singing ladies who like, lead sailors, to their doom. She definitely seems a lot more like that. Eric. Look, I get why he is as he is. I already described you a lot about his character, alright? Like, I just don't feel like what he went through is good enough of an excuse. And it just feels like he was turning into his father in the fact that he was like, hurting a child and all that. Or what he saw as a child, It's just, and he's not that smart either, but he's like so dumb. He's like dumber than Virtue's Last Reward version of the other two characters who are here, bro. I just don't like him that much. And the design is so boring and bland, especially, I know these characters' designs are more grounded in reality, but it just seems more boring and bland. Oh, and I know he's part of like a poor background and stuff, but yikes, dude. And the fact that he still married Mira, despite her being a serial killer and all that, is just a little shocking to me. And the fact, it's not mentioned in the ending either, like in the not post-credit, but like, in the post stuff that we got, with like all the stories about these characters. It's just, the fact that he got together with her, it's just, man, I do find the fact that she definitely, like, thought she deserved punishment and turned herself in was definitely, like, interesting, but I don't know. It's just, there's not enough there for me to consider him a good character. And now for Diana. I've already told you, Luna but more human. But I'm not necessarily saying she's a bad character, but she's definitely not like my favorite protagonist. I do find it interesting that she was like an abuse victim. But despite all, like, and was definitely being manipulated and all that. But she definitely did sort of stood her ground. Again, like, she's definitely a bit more stubborn, stood her ground, is definitely a little bit bold, relatively speaking, but she still has that little hint of kindness to her. But, with the stressful situation, the fact that she gets mind hacked, and like some of these characters, with the decisions that, don't seem in character for them, it's just them getting mind hacked by Delta. Yeah, it's definitely like, interesting to me, Zero the Third Sigma. I already told you why I like his character, definitely more mature, definitely more grounded than this Sigma, definitely more realistic. But it still has that little bold aspect of his character. Like, he has a more bold aspect of his character, like admitting his origins, like, immediately, and all that. Trying to, like, convince everyone that if things keep going the way they are, the world's gonna end. And all that. Not much I can add. Fi, she's similar to how she is in, Virtue's Last Reward. I really like her design in this one, actually. It's actually a very cool, nice, fashionable design, in all honesty. Not much I can really add to her character. I like the little additions that they added. Like, even though I found the time travel thing kinda stupid, I really like the relationship that D-Team had with each other, And I really like how, I found the twist, even though I was kinda memeing, still kinda cool. Like, Fi was like Sigma and Diana's daughter. Not much I could really add, once again, that I haven't already said. And finally, Delta. Zero the Second. Sorry. His motives are indeed complex. Design-wise, his glasses really carry it, in all honesty. I just wish... And the mind hacking, I don't want to say it came out of nowhere, because they did outright say that in Virtue's Last Reward, that brother had the ability to read minds and stuff. I'll put him at B tier, in all honesty. Not really much I could really say about him that I haven't already stated. I do find it kinda, his, like, complex motives sorta interesting, even though it is kinda dumb. Like, I'm trying to figure out what exactly was his big endgame. Like, if I look at it from, like, the widest thing, it just comes off to me as he created the Radical Six. Like, he was playing this 5D chess with, like, 4D chess with, like, Akane and stuff. Or 5D chess? Yeah, 5D chess with, like, Akane and, like, all the other characters. And it's like, okay, so I know shifting works. And I know that if I don't do anything... I'm gonna FaceTime, hold on. I'll call them back later. Like, if I don't do anything, this, religious fanatic is going to destroy all of humanity. So in order to destroy the religious fanatic, he created the Radical Six that would kill them. And he, kind of had a fallback plan, because he's like, he probably just didn't exactly want to kill 75% of humanity, but he just had to in order to, well, A, I guess in a way, ensure his own existence, and B, to ensure that Sigma and Phi would end up as they are, and, Akane would end up making that plan with Virtue's Last Award that sends them back to Zero Time Dilemma, and then from the Zero Time Dilemma, we get to, like, the true ending, where it's like, okay, now that you guys know that this religious fanatic exists and all that, I'm gonna leave it all to you. Like, and I'm gonna just leave it all to you. Like, maybe he just didn't want to kill anyone. Like, everyone. And, he only did it because he saw it as the best option. I won't say it's necessarily a good thing he did, but it's definitely, like, an interesting view, that someone can have on this character. I definitely have to do a lot more, like, research, or definitely a lot more, getting more opinions on him, before I could give, like, a more solid, opinion on him, but definitely interesting in that retrospect. He definitely could have been, like, more, I don't know the word. There's something I was gonna say about him, but I can't remember. Shoot, it just escaped me. I do find that slight moral grayness kinda interesting that all the Zeros seem to have. And, the fact that he's Phi's brother. I'm trying to figure out what the hell I could say. I'm not sure what else I could say about his character. I think I hit all I had to say with his character, but if I could think of anything else, I'll come back to you guys. There's not much I can think of. Oh wait, I remember one thing I was gonna say. I feel like the reason why he couldn't mind hack them, and it's gonna play a part in, like, a possible sequel series. If it was a possible sequel, and it's just me messing with the concept. I feel like he can't figure out who the religious fanatic is, because that religious fanatic also has the ability to mind hack. I like to think, like, right now, I like to think that mind hacking and shifting are, like, both a part of the morphogenetic field, And they have, like, a yin and yang kind of, like, a relationship. As well as, kind of being the opposite of each other, where shifting allows for, like, teamwork and more, like, going back in time, like, changing, shifting cognitions and stuff. Mind hacking is definitely slightly more static, where it's like, you can, like, get more knowledge from other people and stuff. And you could, like, possess them temporarily. And it's like, the more danger there is, the more powerful those abilities get, and the more control you have over them, So, like, Delta got stronger with age, if that makes any sense. Speaking of which, now that I think about it, Phi, like, older Phi, the twin sister, of Delta, whatever happened to, like, the older Phi, that should be about the same age as him? It was never mentioned in the files that much. It just said that a clone of her was left behind. Personally, though, I feel like maybe Fi raised herself. I don't know. Because of, like, you know, what that thing said. Not sure. I'm kind of getting a little bit off topic. I think I remembered what I was gonna say before, outside of that. So I'm just gonna say real quick before I forget again. The final ending, the final ultimatum choice, where whether or not we kill Delta, where it's like, technically speaking, he's not the same Delta who put us all through that stuff. The most we can get him on is kidnapping. That's probably the most we can get this Delta on. Like, does he deserve to be killed for kidnapping even though he let us go? Like, I'm not saying he's a good character once again. Like, he's not a good person. But I'm definitely saying he definitely does raise, like, good questions and all that. And I feel like that ending scene could have been shot better, but, yeah. Whatever. Now that that's done, I'm gonna get the tier list in order, we're gonna view the community rank, and then we're gonna be talking about the concept I have for a possible sequel. So, okay, let's look over here first. Come on. Oops. If you can't tell, I'm a very easy person to please. Yeah, this one seems about right. That one seems about right. He kind of deserves to be there. Definitely deserves to be higher. Yeah, definitely right there. And yeah, that's about it. This is the final tier list. And now with that done, let's look at the community rank real quick. Let's see what the fan base thinks. Best Zero Escape, last update, 0414. Wow. They really fucking put all these characters in D tier, and there's like no one in C tier. Or, goddamn, okay. I mean, I guess we're just considering characters and not character designs or anything outside of that. I can respect that. Wow, the fan base really loves Snake. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Snake too. The one ending with him. The one ending with him is definitely, hold on, actually now that I think about it, I just remember that fucking ending. Sorry about that, my mistake. I forgot about his ending. I forgot about the safe ending for a minute and what he did there. And honestly, that elevated this character just a full fucking tier. And then just sped him all the way up here. God damn. Okay, sorry, let me go back. Man, apparently Snake is a fan favorite character despite everything, which actually, yeah, makes sense. With Luna being a close second. Then there's Seven, which, yeah, I could definitely see him being up there. Junpei, Fi, yeah, these characters I could definitely sort of see. Kay was definitely sort of interesting in the fact that he was both Akane and Kyle. I'm not sure about Sigma. Once again, I'm not sure about... What, really? They put Virtue's Last Reward Sigma beneath No, wait, above Zero Time Dilemma Sigma? They put the worst Sigma. Okay. Sorry. It's just that I just don't agree with that. And Phi is kinda more or less the same as the Phi here. From what I could tell. What else? Okay, what else? Makes sense. Okay. They put the dog that's completely inoffensive at B tier? Fucking, I respect this person. They put Gab in his own fucking section. Killed Gab and also oh, this is just so great. Alright, I'm gonna continue looking. I'm a little surprised they put Alice here, but that's fair enough, I guess. A whole tier, and like, beneath all these characters. And these characters are nearly the same thing. What else? But okay. This Junpei, I could see him. Really, wait, now that I think about it, they put the best Junpei. Fucking A tier instead of S tier. I'm a little offended. But okay. I really like Junpei, how this Junpei described things, you know? Like, in the ending where he got stabbed in the back, they really went into a lot of detail with it, you know? I really like that. I really like that aspect of his character. That not only, like, Sigma didn't have, but, like, Zero Time Dilemma definitely didn't have, you know, because of the different style of gameplay, but fuck, dude, I really liked how, I forgot his name. I really liked how the writer wrote how Junpei described things, you know? Makes sense. Yeah, it's fine, it's alright. I get it all. I get the fan base and their opinions. I can respect it. But this is what I think. At least right now. Maybe my opinion will change, maybe it won't. Who knows? And now there's also an alignment chart as well, that's kinda cool. Fucking don't know what the fuck to do with that, but okay. Presentation mode, what? Oh. Do I have a presentation mode here? I do. Yeah, that makes it better. Okay, now with that done, let's get to the second part. The fucking possible sequel concept that I have. Which once again, it's not perfect. It's not even like a first draft, or even, and it's like only roughly an outline. It's just a concept. Alright, just understand that. So, the Death Game concept is known as Decision Game 2V right now. Which, like, you could call it 2V, V2, whichever. And it's actually, like, I based it off the Decision Game because we got two Minonori games, we got two Decision games. Especially in this one, minor spoilers, but it's gonna have the same type of mastermind where it has, like, a mind hacker mastermind. But it's also going to play to the fact that we think, like, right now, I have it being 9 people, but this concept could technically work if 10 people actually did, like, you know, work together. Like, if 10 people were just immediately revealed. But this Decision Game is, like, right now, this concept still has, like, the 9 people. You know? Because it's, like, based off the Enneagram, once again, with the personality types and characters, which I will describe a little bit more of to you. Real quick, like, right now, Enneagram, which I might as well pull it up. Enneagram. I always had fucking issues trying to spell it. Which I'll explain to you, like, in a second, because I had to base some of these characters and what they went through off of that, you know? And I'm not gonna lie to you, I did base this concept a little bit off of, like, if you've ever seen Nico B and the Council of Voices, I did base it off of, like, you know, off of his Death Game. So, please support him. Alright, you see him right here, Nico B videos, Council of Voices. Really wish he continued the series. From, like, episode 8, but it's been, like, holy fuck, I just realized it was a year and a half between the 7th and 8th episode. Jesus. But I hope he continues the series. I wonder if there's just only going to be one more, because once again, it's based off, like, Nonary game and stuff. Whatever, I'm getting off topic. Sorry. It's based off of his a little bit. It definitely has, like, his death game in mind. Which, if you have or haven't seen it yet, go watch it. You can go watch it. It's Nico B. If you've ever seen him before, he's slightly more comedic. A little bit more, like, parody, but it's definitely an interesting death game scenario, Let's get into the concept. Basically, the concept of the death game itself is, like, there are 9 people who are trapped in an underwater bunker. The only way out is through an X gate. In order to access the X gate, the participants must collect at least 6 X cards. These cards can be collected in 2 ways. 1, someone dies and the person nearest to them gets an X card. Which, basically how it works, is like, basically if someone were to get, like, let's just say that there's no one with an X card, alright? Neither the killer nor the person who is murdered has an X card. Like, if neither of them have an X card, the X card would go to the dead person. In which case, their bracelets would deactivate and you could carry the X card with you. If that person has an X card, and, the killer does not have an X card, the killer would get the X card, and they would be able to take the X card off the victim. If the killer already has an X card, and the victim doesn't have an X card, the victim will get the X card, and then the killer will get the X card off the victim. And then what else? And then, if both of them have an X card already, I'm gonna make it so, like, you can only collect 1 X card each. So, if the killer and victim both have an X card already, the X card would just go to the nearest person. Which I will explain to you the nearest person later. After that, there's also, like, another way to collect X cards is by completing a challenge, which is in each of the wards, which there are 4 wards with 2 rooms each, and there's 1 card in each of those wards. And there are 2 more that can be found or earned with a little bit more, thinking and a little bit more effort to find. And if someone I already described it. I already described that part to you. Once an X gate is open, it will remain open for 9 seconds. After 9 seconds, it will close forever. To add a bit more, trouble to it, once again, based off of Nico B, a little bit of Danganronpa 3, if you've ever seen the anime. To make it a bit harder, everyone has a forbidden action. On each person's bracelet, there's a single action that the participant is not allowed to perform. Breaking the rules or performing that forbidden action will result in death. I haven't come up with, concepts for which character would have which forbidden action. I do have, like, a few ideas, which I will get to when I get to the characters. There is also one final rule. The X gate must be open within 9 hours. If not, there's a second lock on the X gate that will seal all the participants inside. And basically, as a bonus, I'm trying to figure, I was playing with 2 different concepts here. Like, either the X gate could seal forever, or after 9 hours, the water will flood inside and kill all the participants who are still trapped inside. If the X gate hasn't been opened. One of those 2 concepts, honestly. Every time someone dies, an hour is added / subtracted. I'm still trying to figure it out. Personally, I think added would be better than subtracted, because it adds too much of a risk if you subtract. There's more reward to killing someone, which is gain an X card and gain an hour to escape. There's more of a benefit to that. And now for the cast. Some returners that I'd like, to return in this game, because there's always going to be a returning character. If we look between the first game, 999, and Virtue's Last Reward, some returning characters would be Junpei, which we see right here. Junpei returns, Clover returns, and to an extent, Akane returns. And then from that game to Zero Time Dilemma, Junpei and Akane return, as well as Sigma and Phi. So in this game, it's going to have returners from 3 games, 2 each, which means there are a total of 6 characters who we've already seen before. Which these characters are going to be Aoi Kuroshiki, also known as Santa, Light Field, also known as Snake. Personally, once again, reasons why. Snake is apparently a fan favorite. So it'd be great for him to return, and it'd be great to give, like, both Snake and Santa, who are sort of similar in the retrospect that they're older brothers, get them more development and screen time. Especially since Santa just only appeared for one game, despite his importance, and despite the fact that he's the older brother of Akane, it'd be good to see him return for this game. As for the next two, it will actually be Left, because once again, Left was actually played with for like Zero Time Dilemma of whether or not for him to return. In which case, Left will actually, in this instance, I'll definitely have Left return in this sequel. Get more development with him. And actually, use him as a sort of, I don't want to say red herring, but definitely use him as a distraction to, catch the attention of the gamer, of, all the, people who are playing this game, this theoretical game. And also kind of make him a little bit more complicated. I'll go into it a bit more. Alice would be the second character who returns. Which, honestly, remember it, I didn't stream it, but in, Virtue's Last Rewards, ending, it hints that, that, Clover and Alice, where is she? Alice, both ended up, both used the device that we see in Zero Time Dilemma to go back in time. I'd like to think that maybe it's possible that she could have learned to shift. Through the danger of the situation, and through, maybe being in the presence of stronger shifters, she could have, learned to shift, maybe. So it'd be nice to see her return. It'd be nice to see, some heads clash. Some heads clash between both her and Left, considering, what happens at Virtue's Last Award. And the next two characters who are returning from Zero Time Dilemma will be Carlos. There's not much I can really explain there. Carlos the main protagonists from the other games seem to, return. So it makes sense that Carlos would be the one making a return. And Sean. Kind of already it's kind of obvious why. Just Sean's entire existence is interesting. It'd be nice to see what, happened to Sean, especially since he was, one of the newer characters in the other game. It'd be interesting to see how he adjusted to learning he's a robot. And maybe, now he has, a real human-ish head that he got from Sigma, after Sigma maybe built him one. I don't know. I just want, Sean to be a part of this game more than, because it makes sense more than Mira and Eric, because these two have to be together if you're gonna bring them back. So, and for this concept to work, this one concept that I have to work, it has to have, Carlos has to make a return, which I will explain why later. And as for Diana, personally, even though I feel like Diana could also make a return, I feel like she has too many callbacks and too many, parallels to Luna, that it's we've already seen Luna, we've already seen Diana, we've already seen, what these two characters have to offer. Let's give another character, more screen time instead. And I also don't want to ruin, the ambiguity of, whether or not Delta's alive in this game. If, Carlos did end up shooting him or not. Don't want to ruin that ambiguity. Maybe we could learn from Carlos in this game whether or not he did it. From, when we talk to him personally. So, yeah. Out of all those options, it just made Sean, the best option. Especially for, a twist idea a potential twist idea I have for him. And now the final three characters, which, is actually gonna be, believe it or not, Maria, which I brought her back, because, there's always two characters who seem to be, very close to each other in these games, whether that be they're related or they're dating. In the first game, it's, technically two pairs, which is Snake and Clover, and Akane and Santa, where is he? Yeah, Akane and Santa. Or, in the second game, where it's, Clover and Alice, where they're they're close and they knew each other. Or, I thought there was another example. Oh yeah, Tenmyoji and, where the fuck is, oh, here he is, Quark. There we go. So it'd be like, and then Zero Time Dilemma, we already know about Junpei and Akane, but outside of that, there's also Mira and Eric. I don't want to spend too much time on it. You get it. It'd be interesting to see the brother-sister concept be realized here, and it could add some interesting character interactions between Carlos, Snake, and Santa. Maybe Maria goes missing, or like, Carlos goes missing, and like, these two are like sympathetic towards the person who lost their sibling. Or like, these two are like jumping to help the sibling, depending on who they are, you know? Next is gonna be the Amnesiac character, who I will explain more of. It's like, right now the concept I have in my head is like an old lady. Sort of similar to like Akane. Similar disposition, you know? And then finally the main character, who instead of being a shifter, I'm gonna make a mind hacker, which I'll explain to you how the flowchart will work. Because in this instance of the flowchart, instead of the mind hacker, initially, before the mind hacker finds out they have mind hacking abilities, we go through like one route, we get one ending, go back to the start, or like, you know, someone dies, we go back to the start, we learn that the person, like, from mind hacking them, or like, you know, reading their minds, we learn that they shifted from another timeline. We are confused about the concept of shifting, but we do get that, from their memories of what happened in that timeline, and then we avoid it using their memories. That would be an interesting concept to have. I'll describe to you the personalities and the personality types, as soon as I, you know, give you some alternative characters. Some alternative characters that could have returned instead from the first game could have been like Seven, Akane, Junpei, or Clover. But I just feel like, you know, Snake definitely does deserve, like, in the fan base, he's definitely popular, so I feel like it'd be great to, you know, get him back for if nothing less, for the fans, you know. And then for Aoi, it could have been interesting to see more of Aoi, get a bit more about him, like somewhat separated from his sister, get a bit more about him as a person, as a character. What else? In the second game, Kay or Kyle could be a strong possibility. Sigma and Phi, as well, I don't want to bring them back for a third game, but, Akane was in 3 games, so it's like, it's not gonna be too offensive, but I feel like they've already been through enough. They've already got their arcs and stuff. As for Kyle, I feel like if considering Virtue's Last Rewards ending being canon, like the secret one where Kyle shifted back, it could be cool to see Kyle instead of Alice, maybe? I really want Left to be a part of this, you know? Be a part of this game. What else? Diana was another one, but I already described to you why I would rather have, like, Carlos or Sean instead. So let's just describe real quick their personalities. Because once again, I based it off the Enneagram. Real quick. Enneagram, not personality test. Type descriptions. Like, personally, let's just start from top to bottom. The Reformer, it's actually gonna be the Amnesiac. They're principled, purposeful, self-controlled, and perfectionistic. Which, in this case, is gonna make them the villain. That's right. In this case, they're Zero the Fourth, or who I want to call... Well, I don't actually have an alternate name for them yet. But I do have, like, maybe calling them, like, something separate from Zero. Maybe Infinite, or... what's the opposite of... Or Absolute, or, like, opposite of Zero. Or simply calling them O, or simply calling them Null, or something like that. Something separate from Zero, that still connects them to Zero, but also kind of like, you know, separates them, because technically speaking, the Zeros are connected in a way to the Radical 6 arc, and this is a separate arc now. And basically, I never explained to you guys where we are or why. I'll explain it to you guys in a second. Basically, the basic idea I have, once again, these are concepts and they're not fully realized yet. But basically, the reason why the Amnesiac is like the religious fanatic they are is because they see humanity as like a plague, as like, similar to like the mind hacking abilities of Delta. They could hear the thoughts of everyone, and they could see like all the evil thoughts in people's minds. But as Delta is somewhat more optimistic about it, like humans can change, or humans can learn, or like, and become better, this one only sees humans as getting worse, seeing the worst in them, and deciding that humanity needs to be wiped out. And, from the ashes of this old humanity, a new, better, perfect humanity can rise. Maybe that's the reason why they do what they do. The Reformer. and thus I gave him the Reformer personality. Next is the Helper, who I decided to make Maria because of like, process of elimination, in all honesty. The Helper is the caring, interpersonal type. They're demonstrative, generous, people-pleasing, and possessive. We don't have much of a Maria's character, but from what little we get to see and hear of her, she's definitely caring and loving towards her brother. There's not much I can really say about her, though. Once again, these are really early concepts, and I'm trying to, especially since I'm trying to, like, figure out Maria, as a character, since we don't get much of her, we don't get too much. We get, like, 2 scenes with her, and then, like, the end, and then, like, whatever, the post-ending thing we get to read about her. But out of, like, all the Enneagram personalities, I would like to make her the Helper. Helper, just because it's, like, the only possible one. And it'd be nice to see, like, her, you know what, now that I think about it, let me pull up my phone, let me pull up my iPad, and tell you guys something real quick. Let's start over with the Reformer. I'm sorry, this is really bad. I fucking forgot to pull out my iPad and stuff. So, the Reformer actually has the same personality type, or the Amnesiac in this case. The Reformer has the same personality type as the Ninth Man and Sigma. And considering the fact that Sigma would be 0 to 2nd, it'd be interesting, or 0 to 3rd, I mean. It'd be interesting to see, like, a character like the Reformer be, like, an actual villain. Like, an actual, like, fully realized villain. Someone who we think we could trust, like, maybe the main protagonist trusts them the most, because it reminds them of, like, their grandmother, or, like, their mother or something. But then it turns out they're actually the villain. Like, similar to Ace. Like, they could be, like, sort of someone who he trusted, like Ace, who turns out to be a bad guy, Then the Helper would have the similar personality to Seven, Luna, and Diana. So Maria would be like, the Seven, Luna, or Diana of the game, And I already told you about all of that. Next is the Achiever. Once again, same as personality type as Ace, Dio, and Carlos. But here's the thing. In this case, we have technically 2 Achievers, because Carlos and Dio, you said you wanted only one of each. And that's true. Here's something I never told you about the Enneagrams, though. Enneagrams can sort of shift personalities, or like, depending on like, can shift personality types, depending on growth and stress. Which stress basically means them at their worst, or in a way, like to oversimplify it, I only did like minor research, them at their worst or them at their best. So let's pull up number 3. Number 3. Okay, red is stress. So red, in this case, the Achiever personality, would end up going to Peacemaker, but fuck, that's not what we're trying to focus on, sorry. If we consider left being at the start of his arc, because this is like a clone of left, and it's like, the initial version of left, he'd still be an Achiever. But personally, I think Carlos went through enough development to be considered growing to a loyalist, which a loyalist personality type is basically Clover and Q. He would be like the Clover and Q of the game, and would have like probably like sorry, and would definitely be more, you know, not, I want to say he's still heroic, but he's definitely going to be a bit more linked to the other people, you know. You get what I mean. Enneagrams are tough to describe, man, right now. I've been streaming for like an hour and a half, and I'm still talking about this. I'm trying to just describe to you this concept. So you already know who the Achiever is, and you already know who the Loyalist is. So let's go to the next one, number 4, which is the Individualist, which is still gonna be Alice. I feel like Alice, even though she did go through quite a bit of development, I feel like it's sort of, kind of reset, and like, you know, she never went through it. So in the canon ending, or at least not too much, didn't go too much into it in the canon ending, so I feel like she'd be fine to keep the same as Individualist. Now, as for number 5, who is basically the investigator, or Snake, Kay, and Eric of the group, I feel like Aoi, who is where is he? Santa, who is the enthusiast initially, I feel like he's gone through enough development to be considered an investigator now. Which the investigator, like, I feel like he's gone through enough and it's been long enough. Like, maybe it's 2030 or something. That he probably, like, is now, like, the investigator, type 5 Enneagram sort of thing. And he's definitely more perceptive, innovative, secretive, and isolated. All things considering, you know. I mean, he did kind of just help his sister host a death game and then disappear. It makes sense. You know, this actually does make sense for, like, you know, how his character could have grown from, like, enthusiast to investigator. Shifted, you know. So now, I know what you're thinking. If he's an investigator now, what about Snake? Well, I feel like Snake, it's been long enough for him to have shifted from an investigator to where is it? I'm pretty sure this is it, right? Like, I spelled that wrong, I'm sorry. Yeah. To the challenger. So much more of a challenger kind of character. We'll still keep the old aspects of his character that we learned from, you know, Clover, where he's like a musician now and plays the harp and stuff. But now he's definitely more dominating, more confident because of that. And plus, due to his training, he'd definitely be more powerful and competent. Dominating, powerful, you know. He's definitely a bit more self-confident, decisive, willful, but he is still somewhat confrontational. And other challengers in this game series would be Junpei. Just Junpei. I feel like he's been through enough to be, bit more of a challenger kind of character. Especially all things considering and who's among the cast. What else outside of that? We went from, let me see real quick. We did 5, we already did 6, we did 8. Okay, 7, the enthusiast. This is actually gonna be our main protagonist, the enthusiast this time. Which other enthusiasts in this game include Santa and Fi. Definitely very, like, the busy, variety-seeking type. Spontaneous, versatile, acquisitive, and scattered. Satisfied, be content to have a need for. Definitely kinda like, you know, Snake and Fi. Maybe I'm leaning more towards Fi, because I'm thinking maybe female protagonist with, like, mind-hacking abilities. But I also wanted to draw a connection between her and her at her worst. That's right, there's gonna be a big twist where she and Amnesiac, who's a reformer, is actually the same person. And through seeing humanity at its worst, through a death game and all that, and like, seeing all these thoughts and seeing all that and being trapped in there when the game's over and all that, and maybe using the device that we see in Zero Time Dilemma to travel back in time and become who she is now. Yeah, she'd definitely could be in like one of the bad endings, or maybe like one of the endings whether that be the Amnesiac ending or the MC ending. We definitely see her develop into the bad guy. And, slowly see her get broken down from the enthusiast into the reformer at her worst. From being this sort of like more, Fi-like or Fi-like or Santa-like character into becoming the religious fanatic who we all fear kind of character. Yeah, once again, these are early concepts. I haven't completed character sheets yet or anything. These are just concepts I'm playing with. Man, my fucking throat hurts. Now, finally, we got Type 9, the Peacekeeper, who's gonna be Sean. I feel like Sean has been through enough to have developed from loyalist to a Peacekeeper. Now, Peacekeeper characters include Akane from the first game, Quark from the second, and then Akane again. So he's gonna be sort of like more easygoing, more receptive, more reassuring, agreeable, and complacent. He's definitely gonna try to be even though now he does, since from initial, when we consider the fact that we're playing as a protagonist who hasn't met any of these characters, from like an initial route, we're going to consider Sean like this sort of kid character, and the kid character will definitely be a lot like a peacekeeper, trying to keep the whole group together. Like, let's just say, where is he? Aoi probably has a connection to him. It's quite possible that Left and Alice could have a connection to him if they're part of Crash Keys. If not, he looks like a kid. They'll trust him. Left will probably still be a dick somewhat, but, probably wouldn't see the kid as too much of a threat. Carlos would definitely trust Sean, and everyone else would definitely trust Sean because he's a kid. So they're gonna be definitely a lot more, he could definitely manipulate the group a bit more in that fact, trying to keep them calm and optimistic, being optimistic and supportive and all that. But here's the thing, here's a twist idea I have with him. He's not actually the robot Sean we know. He's like a clone robot Sean that was recreated by the religious fanatic, who could be like someone who could be like one of the accomplices for Zero, in this case, or the Amnesiac. And it's trying to cause chaos and distrust among the group. And the real Sean's already gone or dead or is just outside the death game. Once again, these are early concepts I'm messing with and not... it's not gonna be final. And now with that out of the way, I'm gonna explain to you some other twists I have. One more thing is like a bonus character I have, which is gonna be someone running the game behind the scenes. Like, here's the thing. Similar to, like, Nico B's death game, there's gonna be, like, a secret room. Because if you haven't noticed, I told you there are 4 wards. Alright, 4 wards. And not counting the hallways, there are only gonna be 2 rooms in each of those wards. So there's 8 rooms, plus the lobby, which we'll consider 9. There's gonna be a secret 10th room, where someone is running the game. And they're gonna be similar, if you've ever seen Saw, the first Saw movie, they're gonna be similar to Zepp Hendel, where basically they're like a massive red herring and they're helping the religious fanatic, behind the scenes. They're kinda like that kind of character. Fuck, sorry. And outside of that, some more dilemma ideas I have is like the trolley problem, where it's like, because in this case, I'm thinking Left could be like still trying to plant bombs and trying to blow up the whole facility. But this time it's actually to save the world, because it's like the religious fanatic is among us. It's better if all 9 of us die if it saves the lives of all of humanity. That's something I'm willing to die for. Like maybe something like that, where he's a bit more sympathetic in that light. Especially since now it's trying to stop. Like he's not trying to kill everyone because, I'm trying to prevent Radical 6 from existing and trying to create the perfect humanity. Where it's like, oh, like, I'm trying to prevent that. It's like, I'm trying to prevent humanity from dying entirely. Speaking of Left, another reason why I'm bringing them back is because I want to develop, like, as I said before, I want to develop Left more, but I also want to develop a possible relationship between Left and Delta more. Like, remember when Delta got, like, when we sent him back in time, he had the birdcage from Diana? Hear me out. What if Left, or this clone of Left, had that birdcage now? Like, it's like what Delta gave to him. Like, Delta gave his birdcage to Left. Cause they're like such good brothers, you know? And it's like, you know, a sign of, you know, showing he truly cared for this version of Left. Or like, of the OG Left, you know? I feel like that'd be an interesting direction to take his character. Maybe. I don't know. Something similar to that. Once again, these are very early concepts I have and not final, you know? And, another thing, some effects in this game would be like the butterfly effect, but also the domino effect. Remember when I said the forbidden actions? Let's just say the game begins with like, Alice and Dio bumping heads almost immediately. And, you know, let's Maria's forbidden action is seeing violence among the players. And like so when like maybe Alice, like you could try to diffuse the situation, but if you fail, or if you just choose to let it, you know, fester, the argument will eventually like escalate to where Alice like slaps Dio across the face. And from there, Maria dies, like via poison injection into her wristband, like her wrist or whatever, from her wristband. And then Carlos tries to like, you know, charge towards her, but then like, Aoi and Snake stop him, saying that you can't get close to her, man, because then we learned that his forbidden action is being too close to his sister, like in the general vicinity of his sister, and once he does do that, he could die. And like, maybe like, Maria, maybe he breaks through, or maybe he doesn't break through, and then he dies as well, or not. Once again, these are early concepts I'm messing with. And like, from there, when someone dies, the domino effect will initiate where it's like, it only gets worse from here. And then like, you know, after the culmination of all the timelines, we get to the final decision game. And then like, where all the others shift back to the start, our main MC gets the memories of all the other participants. And as the mastermind, or the amnesiac, tries to make the move, the MC and all the others manage to get the jump on her, and, you know, stop her from, like, you know, killing all of humanity, or, like, grabbing the MC or whatever, you know, that sort of thing, and then we get the true ending. Eventually, when we do all the things we need to get all the X keys and all that, you know? And then deal with, like, the other 10th person. Once again, I know it's a lot. I'm trying, like, these are all concepts I'm messing with, and these aren't final, you know? And finally, some inspirations. Basically, the reason why I said, like, underwater facility is gonna have a very heavy, like, you know, connection to fallen societies and, like, the lost city of Atlantis. Where, if you don't know the original, like, before I end the stream, might as well describe to you this final bit of the concept. Where it's like, why did Atlantis fall? Like, it's gonna have this heavy link to Atlantis. Where, basically, the reason why Atlantis fell was because they became greedy, petty, and immorally bankrupt. And the gods became angry because the people had lost their way and turned to immoral pursuits, as you see here. And then, as punishment, he says, the gods sent one terrible night of fire and earthquakes that caused Atlantis to sink into the sea. Which, basically, that's basically gonna be, like, a similar mirror to, like, the main antagonist's, philosophy on humanity, where humanity is greedy, petty, morally bankrupt in their eyes. And because of that, they're gonna destroy all of humanity so that a better one can rise. You know? That sort of thing. And basically, that's all I really have to say about Virtue's, like, Zero Escape. Jesus Christ, that was a long-ass rant. And my throat's gonna be sore tomorrow, man. God damn. I know this is a little messy, but this is, like, the best I could describe it all. Since this is, like, a live stream, and, like, I'm just fucking, in all honesty, almost winging it. I do have, like, some notes here that I used. And, yeah. Fuck, dude, that was a lot. I was just straight talking for 2 hours. There's, like, nothing else there. Anyways, if you're interested in the Enneagram, like me, it's actually much bigger than you ever could imagine. Because here's the thing. The Enneagram, even though there are 9 distinct personality types, technically have 27 if you consider all the subtypes, where the subtypes are based off of, like, why this person is as they is, you know? Like, there's the self-preservation, there's the social, and then there's the sexual. And then that's not even considering the wings, which basically there are 18, I believe? 18 wings? Your Enneagram wings are the numbers on each side, so yeah. Let's say 4s have wings towards 13 and 5. So basically, there are technically, if you multiply it, it's 9 times 2 times 3. Which means there are maybe, let me do the math in my head real quick. 18. Fuck, where the fuck is it? 18 times 3. And let me grab my calculator. I can't do 18 times 3 in my head right now. 18 times, fuck. 18 times 3. Which is 54. Essentially 54 distinct personality categories if we consider the wings and the, subtypes. I'm like studying it because this is actually kind of interesting. And maybe, who knows, maybe I could figure out what my Enneagram personality type is. Like, specifically, you know? I find that very interesting. I find this very interesting in how the writers actually incorporated the 9 personality types into, like, the nonary game and all that. It's very cool. And it kind of makes me want to, like, you know, write my characters around that, almost, you know? Well, anyways, outside of that, there's not much else I can add. The next chapter of Thanatophobia, my, Zoophobia and Your Turn to Die fanfiction will be coming out tomorrow, as well as me starting a new series, Head as Code. I'm gonna be starting that tomorrow, hopefully at 3, maybe I could start it a little earlier than 3, but like, 3 p.m. is probably gonna be like what I'm gonna be shooting for. Anyways, that was a bit of a messy stream. I'll try to, like, iron out these ideas and write them down. Maybe I'll put these concepts on Wattpad. Make a separate, Wattpad book describing you these concepts, you know? Maybe. Really love this series. Like, if I look at the series as a whole, I won't say it's a masterpiece. It's not perfect. But it's definitely, to me, at least, if we look at the series as a whole, and here's how I rank things. I rank things out of, like, 0 to 11, where 11's a masterpiece and 0 is like absolute garbage. And like in the middle is just like 5 and 6, which is basically like mediocre. That's how I do it. Personally, I'd rate this series like a strong 9, maybe 9.5 out of 11. And I'm gonna really miss this series. You know, I might play it more, see if there's anything else I missed. Watch YouTubers who play it as well. Watch YouTubers play it as well. See their opinions. See their reactions to, like, all different storylines and stuff. And anyways, other than that, there's not much else I can add. Thanks for watching the stream. Thanks for following me through the Zero Time Dilemma series. I wish I could give a higher quality video or, like, commentary, but instead of this messy one I got. And I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow.